Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch with a little bit of paper crafting thrown into. If you are new, I'd like to say welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play, and I hope you like what you see. Stick around, I'd love to know what you're stitching on and more about you as a stitcher. And if you're a returning stitching friend, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate each and every one of you, and I just love being able to do this each and every week. I was just mentioning, I think it was to Mo, that the weeks just seem to go by really quick because all of a sudden it's Friday again, and all of a sudden we're talking cross stitch again. So, I blink and then here I am talking back to you again. There is a lot of stuff here on the table. I have 2 finished stitchy finishes. I have 3 starts. I wasn't expecting 3. I was thinking 2, but not 3. What else? No full finishes. I started doing that. I ran into a little snafu. We'll talk about that later. And yeah, so as I'm talking, I'm going to show up some few things. I wanted to say thank you so much for all of your well wishes for my 4 years and 5,000 subscribers. I really do appreciate all of your kind words and your nice thoughts, and you made me smile, so thank you. I wanted to show you, I totally forgot that I had this. This is why I don't do monthly decorating things normally. I pulled out for February my country cottage needlework. I don't have all 12 of these done yet. I have maybe 5 or 6 fully finished. I have another couple that need to be, and maybe like 3 that still need to be stitched. So this is February, so that will go on my shelf over there, or it was. And so I just thought, I'll bring it over and show it to you. They're all the same, that they're just leaners. It's nice and simple. I just put some basic felt on the back of it, and it will sit on the shelf and lean up against the wall, and it'll be good to go. I originally made these, and you can see why it's a little different, and now they're all going to be that way just in case. But I originally made these, I was making them for my mom, but this was back when my mom lived in her own apartment and so on and so forth. Where she is now, she really can't have, and she doesn't always, when stuff is out, she puts it and hides it kind of away a little bit. So I didn't want to give her any stress about having something out and worrying about it in sense, and then having to hide it and all of that. But I originally had something that would have a clip up top and she could clip them in. So for now, I've kept them here. I still have to stitch a few and finish them. And I think of my mom every time I look at it and I see it. So at some point, maybe she will be able to have some more things in her room area. But until now, that stays here. So that was I don't have a lot of previous finishes unless I start pulling out the scrapbooks. But I just thought it was a week into February. And then I said, oh, whoops. I should bring that out, shouldn't I? So that came out. I did want to do a quick shout out. I was watching Uplift Stitches, and it is Melanie and Michael. Let me check my notes, make sure that's right. Yes, Melanie and Michael. They have, I think, the video that I just watched, which might be maybe a week old now because I am way behind on my watching. Might be video number 6, and I believe they film monthly, and they are so lovely to listen to, so lovely to watch. They have amazing projects. Melanie stitches more than Michael, but he's got some cool stuff, and she picks amazing fabrics. And you know how much I appreciate marrying the fabric with the stitches and really thinking about what would look good on a specific color. And I truly believe that when you use certain colors, you enhance your stitching because you're bringing out the beauty in your stitches. So it's not, hand-dyed fabric doesn't have to be clashing. It actually can be complementary. And I really enjoy watching. And she's got, if you like Brenda Gervais, you will like watching their channel because Melanie does quite a few and they're beautiful. So I will link them down below if you'd like to go watch their video. Alrighty, so moving on, let's get going with my stitching here so that we can get going. So I have a finish. My very first finish, this is the original because I just want to show you, I do it on different fabrics. This is February's Primrose. It's part of the My Garden Journal series from Cottage Garden Samplings. And if you're new, I really do need to kind of do a reintroduction, but I don't want to spend 10 minutes in the front of the video doing that. So I've got to figure out how to weave it in and out. But if you're new, because we've hit quite a few people over the last few years, you may have not heard my story. But in case with this, I'm stitching all 12. I will put them in a collection in the scrapbook as part of one whole. You know, you think about it like with art shows, they have collections of different series or themes or whatever. And that's kind of what I think of my scrapbook. Some are one-offs and they just go in there and it's just an overall body. But then some pieces might be companions. And in this case, this would be a 12-piece collection. So there it is. It is done. This is, what is this? 18 count. It's an unnamed fabric from Hand-Dyed by Rolanda. I wasn't planning on finishing this week. Oh, and I was just thinking about, I wanted to link. I had a good stitching day and I still had more to do, but I wasn't really sure, could I finish it? So I was watching, or I turned on, and Cross Stitching the Globe had a new video out. And now their videos are minimum hour and a half, sometimes longer. And I said, let's do it. Let's watch. And let's see if I can get a finish. And it was so funny because I watched right to the very end. And as they finished up their video, I put in my very last stitch, which is, I mean, the timing could not have been more perfect. I don't believe I changed in this one. You know how sometimes I change some of the greens, but I'm almost, well, let me check. Because sometimes I just write a note on the paper just so I know. I don't see anything, so I don't believe I changed any of the called fors. I do use the DMCs. I don't use the variegateds on these. Sometimes I do change the DMCs depending on my base fabric, or I just want a little different vibe. This was a fun stitch. It was pretty. I really liked it. So now January and February are finished. March has quite a bit to go, so I will give that a go, and maybe, even though we're still into February, I'll pull it out since February is done. But I'm not going to set myself up on that one. Realistically, I'm not quite sure that I can get that one finished. Now, I pulled this out late last week, and I just went to town one night on it. Was I zooming? I don't really remember. Sometimes I don't remember when I stitch these. Sometimes in the case of this piece, I knew darn well I was watching Cross Stitching the Globe. And they are so much fun if you are not watching them. As everybody else that I talk about, I will link below. I love their variety of projects because there's two. So again, you know me, I like to have a variety. So I love seeing when other people have variety of projects too. And they seem very lovely. All right, so anyway, moving on. This is my U.S. Quaker flag. It is charted by Vivsters, and I started it as part of the 2024 Quaker Flag Sal. And I gotta write myself a note here, Flag Sal, so I know I put that down in my description. I forgot to put something last week, so I'm trying not to forget this week. This was started, it was a stitch along started by Nicole from Devonnerly Designs Studio and Gail from Wombat Hollow Crafts. And stitchers all over the world are picking, maybe it's their country's flag, maybe it's the flag of their parents or grandparents, or there's some sort of special connection. Maybe you've spent a good portion of your life in a certain place, and people are stitching all over the world those flags, and it's just one big stitch along. And I think you can start anytime. So if you haven't thought about it, but you're intrigued, I would go over to Vivsters, check out the flags, and see what you think. And this is where mine is. So you can see, actually you can really see, this is the fabric, because this is a big piece. Originally, this was actually charted as a square, while the other ones were all rectangles. And I reached out to Vivian from Vivsters, and she very quickly and graciously said, let me fix that. Let me make it a rectangle. And anybody who had bought the square, she was basically saying, come back and I'll give you the rectangle as well if you'd prefer. This is done, look at this fabric. This is 18 count Brave Boromir, and it is from those missing stitches. And I kind of went back and forth, and you know, it's being shown on kind of a beigey, and I know a lot of people like One Nation, a lot of people stitch on kind of like that vintage country mocha-ish look, but I decided I wanted to go, you know me, in grays and blues and kind of that whole vibe, so I went that direction instead. Now, I have been basically, and I don't know how well you can see, there you go, that's a little better. In person, I can see these are all going to be filled in with blue, but when you get to the stripes, you will have Quakers in white and Quakers in red, and they will not be filled in. But that's okay, because in person, I don't have a problem seeing it at all. It's quite noticeable. And I think when you have in between with the stripes and the reds and everything else, I think it's going to be fine. But I've been working on trying to get the squares done, working in some of the Quakers. So that one's completely done. That one is partially done. And then this is why I think I was on a Zoom. I just filled in. That's perfect Zoom activity. So, because it doesn't look like much, but there's a ton of extra stitches in all of these. So I will probably continue to do the Quakers and then just keep going with the outline and the Quakers. And as I do either Zooms, or maybe I'm somewhere where like an in-person stitching or something or other, if I just want to make sure I'm not making mistakes and have to frog, I will leave these for fill-ins, because I think that's just a great activity. If I was in the car for car stitching, that would be a great thing. So this will take me a while. Not gonna lie on that. It is 400, I think it might be 410 by 210. So yeah, we'll be stitching that one for a while. I think all of the flags in those rectangles are basically the 410 by 210. Obviously, you can control your stitch count of your fabric, and you can make them smaller if you so chose. All right, so we've had a finish. I've worked on that hashtag 2024 Quaker Flag Sal. Then we pull out a start. And this one's so cute. This is Ruskin's Penguins from Modern Folk Embroidery. I remember that the very first place I saw this was at Sarah's Stitchy Spot, and it looked so wonderful, but then Sarah's projects usually do. And I just said I had to stitch that. And it's funny because since then, when I talked about it, other people have shown me their finishes, and it looks so amazing. I love it. So I was super excited to stitch it. Now I decided to choose a fabric that was a bit more vibrant because I really wanted everything to pop. And I didn't go too dark because I didn't want the black to blend in, because I was looking at different fabrics and I thought about this one and then I almost changed my mind. But this is kind of that in between, not too light, not too dark, so all the colors will pop. I don't have a lot. I only have about 200 stitches. Somebody did tell me when they worked on it, they said the outline, you got to get into a rhythm. It's a bit of a bear, but once you get into a rhythm, it's fine. So we will see, but I didn't get too far. Isn't this beautiful? I think these are going to just look so lovely on this. This is called Mermaid's Dream. I didn't cut it yet just because I wanted to make sure actually that I did like the color. Sometimes when I choose colors that are a little bit more vibrant, I will do the stitch without cutting up my piece just to make sure. A couple times I've cut and then decided I didn't like it, and then I have, you know, that cut piece that I just have to match to something else. Now, to dye for fabric this year in 2024 is not hand dyeing. Fingers crossed that she comes back. I keep a watch, and if I find out that she has, I'll let you know. I have a ton of her fabric because I love it. I love her Aida, and so I'm going to use it, but I will always let you know. And in the description box below, I talk about all of my projects and all of the things that I've worked on and the different fabrics and if there's any floss information or sals or anything like that. But at the very bottom of the description box, I list some of my favorite fabric dyers. And down there, I do make a note about to dye for fabric. So if that changes, I will change it in the notes as well. So it's not a huge start, but I really love how the black looks and I love how the white looks. Now this was charted in probably Roxy Floss, wasn't it? It was called Leo and Roxy at the time, but it's Roxy Floss now, right? So I just went with my Anchor Black, and I probably went with, let me see if I can catch it, B5200. Yeah, B5200. So just a basic black and white. And I mean, I don't need anything more than that because it's just gonna pop against this beautiful fabric. So that was start number 1. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this one back. Once the videos are done, what I'm able to do then is I take all the projects and I put them in different piles depending on if they're going by my stitching chair, if they're going in the, this week might get some more work in the putting away. I've got all these different places I put my projects, so I try to make sure everything is neat and ready to go after the video. Okay, next one. So I had finished my rotation of, what was the last one I did? Oh, mini 1. And so since, now this is not my official dragon stitch, but we were coming up, that was the week that the Year of the Dragon was going to occur, or the start of the Lunar New Year of the Dragon. And so I said, well, I have to pick this one. This is Mini Until the End. It is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, and the artwork is by Rose Kahn. And I have to say, I had this and started stitching it before Fourth Wing came out, so it wasn't just influenced by the dragons of Fourth Wing. I just thought I loved the colors. I haven't gotten to the dragons. That's okay. It'll be fun when I get there. I'm kind of still in a lot of the background, but I love all the different shades. So let me show you as a whole. That's the piece right there. Okay, so that's all of the fabric. It's not huge, but that's where we are. So I'm just going to fold this for a minute. And like I usually do, yes, I did kind of jump all over the place, to be honest with you. So we'll talk about the different sections. I do have 2 corners though. So 2 out of the 4 are situated. All right, so if I bring this over for a second. So first part of the week, and if you are new, I usually try to give my full coverages because I have about 15 of them and I probably will start some more. I try to give them 10-day rotations with a minimum of 1,000 stitches. So I try to do 100 stitches a day. Sometimes I get more. Sometimes I'm really into a piece and I just keep going for some extra days. And what did I do this time around? So I started on this side and I had confetti here. I filled all of that in. So then I started in the next set of rows. I don't necessarily have a plan when I do full coverage. You know that by now if you've been with me. I basically kind of pick a color or an area and I sometimes go with it. Do I purposely complete the 10 by 10 square? No. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Depends on what colors I'm using and what I feel like doing. I did also come down here and stitch a little bit more there. I am one that likes to make the corners at least 3 out of 4. Well, actually, in all cases, it's been 3 out of 4 when I make the corners. I've never, and then I see myself kind of working towards that very final corner. So I had worked on that and I was happy moving along. And then I decided I wanted to get this other side. I was only about here, to be honest with you. And so actually I did quite a bit and I went all the way over to the corner and then I started filling in over there. There are quite a few blues. Now you know how much I love blue, so that's not necessarily a problem. And I'm not tired of blues yet, which is good because I still have, I don't remember how many more days left of the rotation, but at least four or 5 maybe. So yeah, we don't want to be tired of the blue yet. And I'm not sure where I'll go. I don't know if I'll come back over this way and kind of work. I'm kind of enjoying this corner, so I might do some more and kind of work my way in this way, and then the dragons are in the middle, so work my way down that. This is 18 count white Aida, 2 strands over 1, and I do full cross. I've still been contemplating trying a full coverage on 20 count just to give it a go. I like 18, I don't have a problem. 18 count, I know I get this asked quite a bit. 99% of the time, especially if I'm using DMC, I do use 2 strands over 1. For my 18, I have one 18 count that I'm using DMC Flosh for, which is thicker, and that I'm only using 1 strand. But all my other 18 counts are 2 strands. I prefer the little fuller look, but it really depends on you and what your vibe is and what you feel. I just kind of like everything kind of filled in a little bit more. All right, finish number 2. And I'm not going to show you the actual digital pattern. You don't need to see it anymore because I have a finish. I did it. This was my 25/7 piece. So I was working on this 25-ish minutes a day. Sometimes it was 2 strands, whether that was more or less, kind of depends. You had seen it last time. I had finished the border. Oh, that border. It's beautiful, but after doing it a second time, because I'm going to show you the two together in just a minute, I was done. And then I was doing well, and then one day I just said, let's just finish it all. So this is Summer Poppies. It is from Croccette Gogo, and its title is not it is not English summer. Well, I think that's the translation, because I did look up the translation, but I'm not even going to attempt to say what it's actually called. If you go on, I found these on Etsy. I don't know if Croccette Gogo has any other site besides Etsy. You'll find hardcover paper patterns from other places, but digital wise, which these two that I'm going to show you, were both digitals. This is 18 count Old West from Color and Cotton, and I pulled out, so you can see they're a little bit different. This one is the daisies. This was also Color and Cotton, and I believe it was Moroccan clay. And I don't remember if I didn't have enough of this. I had gotten the small little pieces of the Color and Cotton when I was in their fabric of the month, so their pieces were small. But you can see, if we bring it up close, the Moroccan clay does make it pop a little bit more, but I'm fine, because the poppies are so vibrant in and of themselves that the lighter color looks okay. Now, this week I was hoping I might get some full finishing. I did pull out the interfacing, and I pulled out my iron, and I was interfacing. You know what I was interfacing was my Jardin Privé, my 4-season Quakers, because I really want to get them scrapbooked as a 4-piece collection. And so I've always used, I had grabbed, because I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to like sewing and things like that. Not sewing, but like materials. When I was using the interfacing, I basically took an old handkerchief of Mo's, and I used that to put over the interfacing and put between the interfacing and the iron. And it's worked great for years. Well, I was ironing the interfacing, and I looked down at the handkerchief. I hadn't even noticed it to begin with. And I had scorched some holes. I don't know, because I mean, it's thin material. So I don't know if it had gotten used so much that there are now holes in the handkerchief. So I have to throw that out. And now I have to find something else to put between my iron and the interfacing. I don't know what I have at home, so I might have to get something. But that put a kibosh in the full finishing, because these grand plans of doing some scrapbook pages didn't work. So this one is interfaced. Now, once I figure out what I'm doing with the interfacing, this one will get interfaced. And my dilemma will be whether or not I put them both on one page. I'm thinking they might each have their own separate, in a side-by-side set of layouts, just because the fabric is different. If the fabric was the same, then they probably would have gone on the same page. And what I might try to do is find an element that's lighter for this one and darker in this one, and make it the same element that will tie the two together. That's what I'm thinking. How successful I am? Well, that's always another story. All right, you know what? I'm going to put this in a different pile, because I know that one is finished. I'll put it over this way. Okay, so I don't want to put that elsewhere. Okay, so that was my second finish, and that's it. I have 2 finishes this week. I don't have the notebook that has my my stats and everything. I don't know. That might be finished like 7 now with those 2 for the year, for 2024. So I'm pretty proud of that. I think that's pretty good. Now, some of the finishes have been trading cards, but that's okay. Every finish counts. Next one. So this is my Year of the Dragon piece. So it's Hugo Stitcher, and is it Fibers and Floss? I will look it up. I am completely blanking out on the co-host for the Year of the Dragonsal. I will look it up, and I will put it in the information down below. So this year was the Lunar New Year, started on Saturday, and how fun to do some sort of dragon stitch. And there are beautiful dragons out there. I was watching Paula, and Paula is stitching in high heels, and I'm halfway through her video. I'm halfway through multiple videos because things keep coming, and then the way I have my cue is strange. I perfectly know that. But Paula stitched a dragon, and it might be a Teresa Wensler. I'm gonna put down Paula. And of course, Paula's stitching is beautiful, and she has done some beautiful, elaborate stitches. I'm almost sure it's a Teresa Wensler. And I had seen that part. But anyway, I will link Paula down below. So if you want to watch and see just gorgeous stitching, watch Paula. I chose, and we had this whole discussion last week. Thank you so much. There are so many different ways to say the dragon's name. So we're not going to go into that discussion again. But I chose Celtic Dragon. And that is from 2x2 Stitch Art. And if you were not here, I am basing it. Now, this is just it's an artist rendering, right? Because nothing is exact. We don't know what the dragons would look like. But this is an artist rendering of Xaden's dragon in Fourth Wing. And so that was the coloring. When I talk about coloring, that's what you're going to see. I do plan on doing one color for the dragon, then going a deeper color for the elements around, and then as long as I have the space, I'm really worried about my counting on the fabric, but I think it'll be fine. Then I will do a even deeper, probably a DMC on that part of the border. So I said I'm going to try something new and just go for it, especially because I'm essentially doing monochromatic parts of the pieces. Okay, so let me see. The dragon itself, do I have? Here we go. The dragon itself, I am stitching on, it's called She's So Blue, and it is from Roxy Floss. So neither one of these are extremely variegated, which is good. Oh, actually, I don't have the other one, do I? Oh, I might. These are She's So Blue. So you can see there is some variegation, but not a lot. It's very subtle, which is fine. I don't want to have to worrying about whether or not things are stripy, right? So that works in my favor just fine. I wanted to start with the dragon. So let's open up the piece for a minute because you need to fully appreciate Brandy's fabric. This is called Phoenix. It's an 18 count, and it is from Bestitchme. So the dragon is farther over to this side. It messed me up when I first started saying, oh no, is that supposed to be the middle? But it's not. I can't tell you how many times I counted down. What threw me, so width-wise, I am fine. Height-wise, up and down, this is an 18 by 21 piece. Well, as many of you know, with hand-dyed fabric, it shrinks, right? So it starts as 18 by 21, then they dye it and it shrinks. So this piece is actually 17 up and down and 20 wide. So the 20 wide is fine. I really needed that 18 if I wanted big margins. And I don't normally worry about my margins so much with it. I don't do, except for my full coverages, which I have been doing 3 inch margins. I never do that with my regular pieces. This one I've counted because it's 50 up to the tippy top. So I'm going to have about an inch up top. And I might have messed it up because I was trying to count all the way down, and I might have more down here, but an inch is fine. I don't know what I'll do with this anyway. That is a problem for future Laura. But here we are. That's my stitches to begin with. I had a question. If you are using, because I very rarely use variegated, I love my DMCs. If I'm using variegated, can I, if I wanted to, because I've seen people say they do this, and it's with variegated floss, can I do an outline and then fill in? Or will that be weird? Because the outline could be a different color, and then the fill-in, you know, because it could be a different part of your floss. So what do you do? I know there's you can do whatever you want. I know that. But in your experience, because I don't want it to look completely funny. Like I said, I'm happy that I'm not going to have, you know, huge swings If you see, there's not huge swings of color on here, changes, so I'm good with that. But I would really like to know, from the voice of experience, what you all have done. Now, I do want to show you, I'm thinking planetarium, oh, I said it right this time, for the outer edge around the dragon. And then I don't know on the fabric if it'll look much different, but then I think I would just do the outer border in 939. On the camera, I don't know if you're going to be able to see a difference. In person, there is a difference. And so if we put my 3 together, the dragon, kind of that middle Celtic element, and then the outer border. That's what I'm thinking. But we have lots of stitching to go yet. I don't know. I am using 2 strands. I thought about 1 strand because, hey, that would mean that skein would go much farther. But in the end, again, because I like the fuller look, I just couldn't do the 1 strand. So I did do 2 strands on this. And I think because this is a really vibrant piece, I'm not sure I would want all of that coming through so much. I mean, it's one thing if I do 1 strand on like a really beigey beige, right? How much is that going to come through? But this fabric on a deep floss, that's going to look a little different, right? So I'm happy. I'm happy with it. I'm enjoying the start. I liked it. And what's funny was I had this anyway, so this was just the perfect excuse to give it a start. So that is my dragon for Year of the Dragon stitch along. Yay. And that's, again, I don't have my numbers of stitches because I do count my stitches. I got at least 600 or 700 stitches in, so I was really excited to get that one going. Okay, now this is my once a month rotation, 4 pieces stitched for a week of each month, basically just rotated every 4 weeks. And this is Summer Quaker from Lila Studio. I'm sure it's not a surprise to most anybody because you've seen lots of people stitching it, some beautiful ways of stitching it. And let me show you mine as a whole. That's where I am. This is being done on an 18 count Nantucket Sky, and that's by Fabrics by Stephanie. And I have been working my whole week exclusively. We got this little element here, which is the same color as this big element. And this has also gotten over 600 stitches this week. And I still haven't finished the element. I'm almost there. You know, this is, nope, not even quite the bottom. It probably goes like a little bit farther down right there. So, oh no. Yeah, with the way the angle goes, maybe about here. So we do have probably another couple hundred stitches on that one to go. So it's getting there. Did I do, no, I didn't do anything else in the middle. Sometimes I'm thinking about continuing with, you can see the border there, continuing with the seaweed border and working my way around. I'm thinking the very last thing I'll do is the inside and have all the outside done. Now, Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, and I started this along with several other people on the first day of summer last year in 2023, and we have a hashtag. It is hashtag summerbytheshoresal. So if you'd like to see other people stitching it, look for Summer by the Shore, hashtags I know, and you'll hear every Flosstuber talking about it. We need to have another way of being able to see, because I don't think you can really search Flosstube very well, can you? Plus, I want to see, can you search Facebook? But then not everybody's on Facebook, because I want to see people stitching it that maybe don't have a Flosstube. You know, there's some beautiful options that people do, and, you know, they're stitching along without recording, you know? So I would like to see those too. That's where Instagram came in really well. I don't know. We'll have to think about it in a way to be able to share. You are always more than welcome. I do have a Facebook group. I know not everybody wants to be on Facebook, and I completely respect your wishes on that. I know some people will have only Facebook for cross stitch or quilting or whatever they do, and they don't do anything else on it. Stitching by the Shore, Laura, is my channel. Please answer the questions and please just follow the rules, but you're always more than welcome to share your stitching on there. I love to see and be inspired by other stitchers. Okay, now this one I pulled out. It didn't get a ton of work. Well, you know, it got decent work, but it may not look like it to you. I was pulling this out, so I have, and you do not have to be on Facebook, the Stitching by the Shore cross stitch game is I Spy, and I Spy for February was the very first one we tried, and I think people really like it, and I will have it monthly going forward. I did, and I think what I'll do, so when the month started, I did show the prompts, but you know, you'd have to go back to that video and find that spot. So I'm thinking at the beginning of a month, once I've uploaded and know the prompts, I have no idea what March's prompts are yet. There were 10 different prompts, and you look for in your projects to spy and kind of play I Spy, you know, and you can be as creative as you want. It doesn't have to be super, super literal or in a way that people think it would mean. Stay tuned next week. I have 2 prompts that I'm going to fill with the same project that are different than I think most people will do it with. But this one was something sweet, and there are lollipops as well as apples can be sweet as well. So that's what I went with this one. It didn't get a huge amount of time. I have been giving myself the goal of 200 stitches per prompt. I have left that up to each and every one of you who participates, what you want to do. Maybe it's just pick it up once in the course of the month. Maybe it's to pick it up for 1,000 stitches. Whatever you want to do, it's really up to you. It is your way of touching your projects. But here's mine. This is done on an 18 count Opal blue ice from To Dye For Fabrics. As a result, there's a few little floating kind of starry type things. I'm not doing those because I don't know if it comes up on the screen, but in person, the opalescent nature of this fabric is amazing. And so the whole tree is just one big sparkle. Now, I kind of did some of the boring stuff because the boring stuff kind of has to get done, right? So I finished up leaves, and I think I did these 2 flowers. The leaves there's only 2 colors, but you do have to count. It's not 100% exact to remember. So I have just 1 leaf left. I am so excited. I threw some white on my needle, and I did do part of the, it's black and white for the witch's legs, and that's what kind of is the base of the tree besides the Emerald City down here. So there is backstitch. So for example, here you go. You've got lollipop and lollipop. Oh, and there's a 3rd one here. So there's 3 lollipops, but I'm waiting to do the backstitch at the end. I did mess up 2 of my apples. Their greenery is a different greenery than these 2, but honestly, I don't think anybody's going to notice. And because these two match and these 2 match, it almost looks like it's planned. So having the backstitch, I think I have a few hands to do. I'll probably do those all at once. And then we have the Emerald City, the little bit of extras, and Dorothy's shoes are going to be in a toile. I don't know if these other ones will be in a toile. I kind of want Dorothy to stick out a little bit more. So I would really like this to be finished in 2024. I don't remember if I put that as a goal. Probably did, because it's in a good spot. I have other ones slated for 24/7, so maybe by the middle of the year, if this one is not finished, I might put that as my 25/7 piece, so that it can, at least for a month's time, and see what I can do in a month. I bet you by that time, by the middle of the year, a month's worth of 25 minutes a day could get it finished. But speaking of 25/7, when I finished Summer Poppies, see, I'm already forgetting because it's already done and over with. I pulled out, because this one is pretty close, as you're going to be able to see. I pulled this one out for the next. I don't know how much there actually is. You know, you think, I'm about to say, here it is, February 16th. I have another, 13 days, because this year is leap year. Could I get it done at the end of February? Probably, but I'm not gonna put that pressure on myself. This is the piece. It's Harvest Star Tea, and it is So Much to Love on Etsy, and the work is Michelle Palmer's work, and there are 5 of these that you can choose from. I chose I think this is number 3. Yeah, I chose number 3. And I've said this before, the charting of the bird, and this is, I can't remember, is it all DMC? Yeah, it is. The charting is just so lovely. That bird just comes alive. When I look at it in person, it's amazing how good it looks. So up here, all done. I am in this little teacup. You'd think, oh, it's just a basic teacup. There's a lot more to it than you think, because there's different shadings, and that's what makes things look so good. So I know I have some more of this black along the bottom, and then I think I have another, I don't know if I have another row of shading before I get to just the white. Once I'm in just the white, I think it'll zoom along. This is an 18 count Ocean Air from Fox and Rabbit, Aida. And I just think it's so pretty. I have another project on this fabric too, and I really do like this color blue. It's a little bit quieter of a blue. Do you know what I mean? As opposed to like something like my Mermaid's Dream, which is kind of a blue-green, but you get the point. Some of my blues can be very vibrant. This one, I think of it as just more of a quiet sort of background kind of blue. And I think this looks lovely on it. So you will see this one until it is finished. And fingers crossed, maybe it will be finished by the end of this month. I'm not going to say by next video, though, because that I don't know. So what day was it? It was Tuesday. So Tuesday, you know, the weathermen were talking about, oh, farther up, tons of snow. You know, I know our family in Connecticut, they were going to get hit. Originally, Connor and Worcester school changed the classes to be all online, and they sent parents emails and all this other stuff. And then the next morning they sent parents another email saying, well, the storm is missing us, but we're still going to go remote, because they're still getting some snow, right? So keep the, you know, keep the kids driving to and from, or the professors or whatever, off the roads, right? So Connor did have remote classes. I think he said they said they only had 1 class on that day. So it wasn't like there was a lot to do. But down here in Delaware, I think northern Delaware got some snow. It was raining. I was kind of out and about, and it was kind of that cold, kind of wettish. And when I woke up, and as I was out for a little bit, the temperatures get going lower and lower and lower and lower. And I'm thinking, oh boy, good thing I was getting in the house, because this could freeze a little bit. So I was up here stitching, and I have some big windows here. So when it rains, you know, it hits it a lot. And you know, when you get that combination, kind of the freezing rain, kind of the sleet, but kind of those really wet snowflakes, and they splat against the window. Well, I happened to kind of hear that, and I look up and I see like wet snowflakes splatting against the window. So I said, that's it. I consider that snow, because we're not going to get, so far, I mean, I know northern Delaware may tonight into tomorrow get an inch or 2. We are getting nothing but rain, I think. Maybe that'll change. But if I don't just pull these stray snowflakes out of the air as my snow stitches, I will never have a snow stitch. So I pulled out my Summer Signs series Summer. I call it Summer Signs. Twin Peak Primitives. That's what it looks like. And it's been my snow stitch. It's not going to get very much done. This, don't let this fool you. This doesn't look like much, right? It's a lot of stitching. I am loving it. Don't get me wrong. I am loving it, and I will love it. But I can guarantee you, by the time I get to the end, as much as I love it, I'm going to be ready to have it finished. So I gave them heads. They didn't have heads last time. The only thing I need to give them now is just fishing poles. And then there's some backstitch fishing line off of that. I'm going to look and see if there's other backstitching. I might wait to the end and to do the backstitching. Unless there's a ton, which I will do some as it goes. But if there's not that much, I kind of like to do it at the end. So I did that, but the majority of my stitching, I'm trying to get this finished. And I mean, I was probably halfway through, and I still, you know, I'm not quite done. And I know I did at least 300 yellow stitches. So that's what makes me think, when I get down here to this one, this is going to take forever. I am changing this middle one. I'm going to rechart it to say Delaware, since that's where we are. So this is where I am. it got a good chunk. I spent a good chunk of that day stitching on this one so that it would get some progress. It is 18 count Caramel Macchiato from Fabrics by Stephanie. So it's really nice. It's kind of like that beachy kind of tone, which is actually quite similar to what the model used, which could have certainly, I'm not against using fabrics that are similar to the models. Sometimes I feel like I want something a little different, but if it's something that really draws me in and that color of the model is part of what draws me in, then I do like to kind of look for something maybe similar. Sometimes it's a little brighter or a little bit different, but I don't know what this was stitched on. I think it actually was stitched on it was stitched on a 16 count. Oh, or was it? No. Yes, it was a 16 count natural Aida that it was stitched on. But there we go. So maybe if the odd chance is that we do get any snowflakes tomorrow, maybe you'll see it again next week. Other than that, this week, I don't think anything is slated for snow. And I mean, at this point, we are looking at nearing the end of February. By the time I see you next week, February will be almost done. I mean, to be fair, average temperatures this time of year down here in Delaware are 45. So unless you have a cold spell, you really aren't going to get snow at 45 degrees. This was my unexpected start. I was looking through my bin. You can just barely see it right there in that corner. That's where I put everything that I had shown you or I was thinking about starting. I had shown you my starts in a Flossmas video in December, my planned ones. And then there's other stuff being planned and so on and so forth. But I was flipping through. I saw this and I said, oh, I want to stitch this. So I'm going to start it. This is Heartstring Samplery and it's V is for Valentine, and it's part of the Alphabet series. I remember watching Mary's Stitching Corner, and Mary finished this one, and it looked beautiful. I mean, I looked at Mary's, and I just couldn't get over it. You know how sometimes you see finishes, and people do just beautiful jobs, and I said something to Mary, like, this is amazing. And so when Mary finished, she said, well, would you like the pattern? And I said, thank you. That was quite nice of you. And so she sent it to me. And I'm actually going neutral on this one, but I am changing colors. So this one is charted. It's charted in Gentle Arts and Weeks Dye Works. And then there is a DMC alternative, but sometimes I feel like, you know, those charts kind of just take one or two DMCs and it can be for multiple variegated and they just put them as the same thing. And I wanted something a little different. So this was charted. So let me show you what I have first. I chose Vintage Country Mocha 18 count. So yep, neutral. And I'm really going to like it, I think. So originally, the alternatives for these two colors was 3777 because that is every designer's option for their overdyed. I have 3 different patterns, 3 different overdyes, and they all call for 3777, which is definitely, it's red, but it's more coppery red. And then 3859 was supposed to be the in between. And I just wasn't quite loving those colors. They didn't quite hit the brightness vibe that I wanted. So I pulled out my DMC book and I ended up with 498 and 151. So those are the 2 colors that I chose instead. Woo. And I just love them. If you can see, I think they pop really nicely against this fabric. And you're going to have the red is going to be in the words, and you've got multiple flowers still. Now the gray and the blue, so this deeper color is a blue with some gray. I kept those. The other thing that I did change, this is another one, 732, and I have multiple 732s because I have to stop buying it. I don't know if I can show you how many I have. Is that? Nope, that's 722. I don't think I can reach it. 722 is very much a yellow mustard green. I don't even know how to explain it. And I have used it in a few cases, but I don't think I'll ever have to buy it again because I'd say 90% of the time I rechart that color. And I wanted something that was definitely more green, especially going with the other flosses I chose. So I went with 3051, and as you can see, that's the color instead. So I'm really, really happy with my changes. I think it's gonna look great. I think it's gonna jump and pop out quite nicely. And I don't think it's gonna be a really long stitch. I was stitching this watching uplift stitches, actually. I started it, and while I was watching their video, that's how far I got. So I really like it, and I am going to enjoy that stitch. And I'm going to think of Mary, because Mary shared that one with me. So thank you. Oh, and so this would be over a year ago. She had that finished. Oh, it was so pretty. Her stitched finish. Very last one. I was zooming. A friend and I were zooming, and I pulled this one out because I do like to pull it out as long as it's not in the corners of pages. I do like to pull it out otherwise because it's monochromatic. And it is Fish and Ships from Long Dog Samplers. It's my very first from Long Dog Samplers. And I started smaller. I didn't go with the giant ones. I am just doing one color. But what I chose to do was have a fairly vibrant fabric and then do a white as my floss. I'll show that. And I know some people are doing it more of a neutrally fabric and having beautiful flosses that they're using. So it can be done multiple ways, whatever you like. But here I am. Oh, man. So this is my experiment. I am trying DMC Floss, which I'm not exactly sure how to describe it, except for the fact that it is basically thicker. It's soft, excuse me, but 2 strands. So this is 1 strand equals 2 strands basically of DMC. So as you can see, I'm stitching 1 strand, and that's giving really good coverage on 18 count. So I got the whale done finally, and there was a little bit between pages, but it was so small that it didn't mess me up. I got that done. I did a little bit, this is going to be kind of a windmill sort of thing, so I did a little bit more of that. And then I finished this fish up here. Now what I'm doing with the borders, what I might do now is do another strand and then work my pieces off of it on each side and then go back and forth. I won't do the full border all the way around. I'll kind of do it as I go along. And there are 2 borders that I am stitching, both of them. I'm stitching the solid and the dotted. I know some people are just doing the dotted. And I just love this. Love, love, love it. So if I'm not in the middle, I think this is a great zoom piece. Right here is going to be a little whale, a tiny whale. And what I decided to do, so the floss, I don't know if you can see, so these are 2 butterflies. And I did do the back stitch already with them, but the floss is very thick. It's like 2 strand back stitch. And it's kind of, it's soft. So it's a little, fuzzy's the wrong word, but sometimes it can look a little bit thicker because it plumps up as you're using it. It's soft. So I'm thinking for the back stitch, I'm going to just do a sulky. So this, what do people say? Sulky is like 1.5 DMCs. So I think that'll be nice for the back stitch, and then have keep the floss for all the other stitching. There's not a ton of back stitch, but here and there is. And there's, where is it? There's a back stitch little guy or something, I think. Let's see if I can find, there's so many different things. If you really look at this pattern, oh yeah, if you look in here, kind of by the windmill, I think that's a person, and that's all back stitch. So if I did that with the floss, it would just be one big blob. So I think that's where things will come in handy with this sulky. So what fabric is this? This is an 18 count, and it is from Dyeing for Cross Stitch, which Dyeing for Cross Stitch is still dyeing. They're not to dye for. Those are 2 different companies. And this was part of a Black Friday blue greens pack. So there was a set of 3, and she sold them obviously as the set. You could choose your count, but you got whatever the 3 colors were. And it doesn't have a specific name to it. It just says part of the pack. But it's a beautiful blue. I love it. And I'm enjoying stitching that. So that was my New Year, New Start. I don't necessarily think it's going to get done in a year. But I am, so for January and February, Late Night Stitchers, I have used it for their stitching challenge both months. Now, I don't know if they're going to do the same challenge all 12 months, but I was thinking maybe I would just use this one piece for that. And the challenge is to try to get 750 stitches in a piece in the course of the month. So think about if I did that all 12 months, that's a good chunk. 750 times 12, and you know, maybe I go a little bit more than that and I could get quite a bit done. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. I haven't made any specific ideas about that, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. So that is my current stitching plans. I'm still trying to finish up. I haven't finished up any of the I know of categories. I won't get all 12 prompts. I am Magazine Monthly. Actually, I'm down to 1. I'm down to just E. Categories, I have quite a few, but I don't worry about whether or not I get all of those. Late Night Stitches, I did finish. Crafts and Books, I think I have 2 left. 2 left there, so that's good with their acrostic. And then for I Spy, I technically have 4, but 2 of them I know what I'm going to do. And that's going to get worked on this week. So then I'll have only 2 out of the 10 left. And that will be it. I will have all of my games done. I'm still frantically looking for, not frantically, that's not the right word. I am still looking for just the right blue for my claret and blue Aston Villa stitch. I mean, if worse comes to worse, I'm just going to have to stitch the blue. And it's just going to be that much more stitching. But I would really like to, I looked through all of my blues, all of them. And they're all different shades. So we're still kind of working on that. I'm trying to decide if I can find one that's really close enough that it would work. And that would cut down on my stitching quite a bit. Because that goal is to get that one finished by my anniversary in September. So I do have a timeline on that one. And then my Luca S kit, I wanted to start within the next 13 days before the end of the month. And it'll be my first Luca S kit and beyond a small mill hill, my first kit ever. So I'm really kind of excited to give it a try and see what it's like. Happy mail. I have one thing to show you. This had come in with the trading cards and this was, look at this beautiful card. This is from Laura and it is gorgeous. I love it. It's just perfect. So fun. You can't see very well, but up there I put a lot of different times of rotation of cards that I received, so it's so nice. And then look, I put, these are the 3 that I've worked, whoa, I almost knocked it over. The 3 trading cards for our current swap. So cards have been coming in at this point. The deadline has passed. We are probably at a good 110 that have come in, which is awesome. And I told Mo this weekend might be a bit of a swap organization weekend, and yes, he's gonna need to help me. So we'll see on that, see how happy he is about that. Shopping. So I did want to show you, last week I talked to you about this scrapbook page that I did of my stitch. I have been, for the month of February, since it's not in the scrapbook yet, I have been putting it on my shelf, and so these 2 are right on my shelf. So it's really pretty, lots of pinks. And then I have other stuff. I still have snowmen up there and everything else, but I mix and match. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you about the washi tape, and I forgot to bring it last week. So the company is called Vilit, V-I-L-I-T Design, and I got both of these packs from Amazon. So I got, this is called Cherry Pink Party, and what was this one called? Green Mint. So I'll show you. So you get quite a few, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you get 12. You get 12 in each, multiple sizes from the really thick pieces to the really, really thin, or I've seen thinner washi tape even than that, but the thin washi tapes. And this one is a bit more greenery, leafy type of thing. This one a little bit more just pinks and some different designs, but I just love them. And let me see if I can show you back. That's what that looks like. I liked how they stuck on here. As you can see, they're still stuck quite nicely. Nothing's coming off. I was able to reposition both top and bottom because I was a little bit crooked, and repositioned fine. Sometimes you have to watch with your washi tapes. When you go to pull them off, they can rip. It's kind of like, you know how masking tape, when you pull it and sometimes that little bit rips and then you got to pull until you get that. That can happen with washi tape. You have to be really careful. And so far, again, you still have to be very careful with it. But once it got going, it pulled off nicely and I had no rips. Knock on wood, so I don't have any more. So I did want to show you those. That I thought was really, because, you know, you're kind of taking your chances with something like the washi tape if it's going to be good quality or not. But those seemed pretty good quality. The only other thing I got was when I made the final decision to go with She's So Blue and Planetarium for my dragon, I was a little worried I didn't buy enough because I was kind of just buying some different colors to see what I wanted. So I did make another quick order with Roxy Floss. And I ordered some more She's So Blue and some more Planetarium. And then I threw in a couple other colors. You know that I'm working on, what is it I'm working on? Cinnamon Stars. And I don't like the alternative, the DMC alternatives for the pumpkins. It's brown. It's much too brown for my liking. So I went through every single page of Roxy Floss and I bought a skein of each of these because I think a skein is plenty. Rhymes with orange and jack-o'-lantern. And I do think I'm going to go with the jack-o'-lantern. It's a little bit darker. This one's a little bit lighter. And that way, there are some pumpkins that are supposed to be, I think the DMC alternative is ecru because that's kind of the color vibe of Cinnamon Stars. So that would be a little too close to the Rhymes with Orange, whereas I think it would pop a little bit more with the jack-o'-lantern. I'm sure I'll find something else to do with it. I don't necessarily plan on doing little sections of stitches or parts of things with variegated flosses very often. These pumpkins have been stymieing me, and that's been why I haven't really worked on Cinnamon Stars, to be quite frank. So I felt like that was a good investment. I see myself mostly using overdyes at the moment. You know, life can change, or my plans or my thoughts can change with monochromatics. I really feel like that's where I can enjoy it, and we'll see after I do the dragon what I think about that. And I'm really actually enjoying the fish and chips with the floche, which is something totally different too. I do have a few other colors of floche I ended up buying, so I could see doing some monochromatics on those too. And then the only other, I have a stitch that I want to do I want it to be green based. And I've been kind of looking for greens. So I did pick up one skein of Emerald Isle. Excuse me. This is a little bit more variegated than, say, my blues. So I have to think about if that'll work with what I want to do. It might. So that's a thought. But that was a piece that I wanted to do that was just going to be one color, but I thought maybe the variegated would look nice with that as well. So that's it for the shopping. I have not pre-ordered anything from Market. The Jan Hicks one just keeps calling to me, the red one. So we'll see. And then the Tiny Towns are cute. Frosty Tiny Town was really, really cute. I have to say, actually, what I even liked better than the Tiny Town was the little extra, the little snowman. He's adorable. I could actually see buying just that little extra. I don't need to pre-order it necessarily. And stitching that little snowman. I think he is adorable. So, other than that, there's some wonderful things coming out. But so far, I have pretty much not really felt the need to actually pre-order. There is something else I'd like to buy digitally, so that'll be something that'll probably come maybe before a pre-order does. Alrighty, giveaways. Oh, and I did, nope, that's it. I was thinking I had something else, but I don't. I almost forgot to pick the giveaway winners. Now, I couldn't do it by any type of bowl process. There was, few hundred, couple hundred comments, and different people wanted different things, and to try to write all those names down multiple times like that, it just wasn't happening. So I was able to find a comment picker that I didn't have to pay for, because I generally Now maybe this was very easy, so maybe I will use this going forward rather than the blue bowl. We'll see. But I did write down the names so that, because you know me, I don't do the editing thing. It's just you and me and the camera. So for the number one, for the Top Knot Stitchery gift card. And so for all of these, if you could please give me your email address, because I'm pretty sure, so 4 out of the 5 are gift certificates, right? And then the 5th one is a chart. That one you'll have to give me your email address and which chart you would like. But everything else, I believe all of these gift certificates can be emailed to you. So if anything changes, then we'll work that out. But send me your email that you would like. If it's a different one than what your return email is that you're sending it to me, just let me know. And then I will get these. So for the Top Knot Stitchery, I don't know how to, that's not a word to say. MIRPAXVV. Congratulations. You won the Top Knot Stitchery, Top Knot Stitchers gift card. Now I'm asking everybody 2 weeks. Please respond within 2 weeks time. If I have not heard from any of these 5 people within 2 weeks, I will pick a new winner, because I am lucky to keep this stuff juggling as it is. After 2 weeks, it would be just too much and I would mess it all up. So I ask you to, if you do sign up for a giveaway, I ask you to watch, right? And respond. And I know that life gets in the way, but I think 2 weeks, I feel like that's pretty good. All right, for number 2, it was the, what was number 2? Dying for Cross Stitch gift certificate, whether you wanted fabric or floss or whatever, and it is Hilltop Stitching. Congratulations, Hilltop Stitching. And reach out to me if you want to chat, you know, because I know you said you were thinking about starting a Flosstube. Let's chat. I'd be happy to talk with you. So congratulations on that. Number 3 was, I have it on the back, so I know here. Number 3 was a gift certificate to Hollis Hands Creates, and that goes to, these last 3 have numbers, and I think that's a YouTube thing. I don't think it's necessarily you, but I did write the numbers down in case they are part of your handle. Annette Martin 9544. So Annette, congratulations. You won the Hollis Hands Creates gift certificate. So if you could get back to me. Number 4 is for the chart, your choice of a chart from Cross Stitch for Everyone. So you'll choose, go shop, kind of look what chart you want. Let me know what chart you want as well as your address. And I think I buy it and they send it right to you. Christy Done, sorry, Christy, 6179 are the numbers there. So Christy, congratulations. You've won the chart. So please get back to me. And then the very last one was a gift certificate to 123 Stitch. And that one goes to Sarah Webb 1450. So congratulations, Sarah. If you could get back to me, I will send that out to you. So thank you so much for everybody who played along. And again, like I said, all of your well wishes. I am so grateful for each and every one of you. And I had a lot of fun. And, you know, I like to, you know, it's fun to be able to maybe give something back as well. So thank you. Alrighty, that is it for all of the stitching part. So if that's all you're here for, then I hope you have a fantastic week, whatever you are doing, and I will see you next time. For life stuff, we did have our dinner. We went to the vegan dinner event, the vegan Valentine dinner, with 2 other couples on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. It was so much fun. The place had a really good turnout, which is really great because the whole point is to also show restaurants and chefs in this general area that there are people that are looking to eat things besides meat. And so maybe put some more things. We don't ask for a full menu, but there's so many restaurants that I can't even, there's not even one thing on the menu that I could eat unless I take things off and this and that or whatever. Even salads, most of the time, which, you know, could be boring anyway, but most of the time salads I can't eat. So we had a great turnout. This was the first time this restaurant had kind of done I'll say catered event, so to speak, as opposed to just, you know, regular people ordering and this, that, and staggering. So having to do this all at once is a little bit more difficult. So, you know, there was a few hiccups, but it was fine. I enjoyed myself. They passed around hors d'oeuvres and there was 3 different options. So you could go, you could go and you can take, you could take them as they passed them along. Those were really tasty. And those were things that I wouldn't necessarily, I mean, I'm not making carrot tartare anytime soon. It was so good though. We decided that there was a little bit of horseradish in it, and oh, it was so good. But, and artichokes, there's no way I am peeling an artichoke. I watched, because that was another one of the appetizers. And you know how you watch the chef shows and the challenge is to how many, you peel 5 artichokes or whatever it is in a certain amount of time. And when they had trouble, I'm like, there's no way I'm doing that. So that was a lot of fun. And then dinner was a buffet, some really tasteful food. Some of that was more stuff that I could cook, like there was a mustard tofu, but it was delicious, and I didn't have to cook it tonight, so that night, so it was even better. And different veg, and there was a bolognese, and just lots of good stuff there. And then they did have a dessert plate, and there was some white chocolate and strawberry and pistachio. And I am a dark chocolate, like bitter dark chocolate kind of girl. I love that, and true dark chocolate actually does not have any milk in it, so it is technically vegan. White chocolate, even if I was having milk, was always a little bit too sweet for me. But however this one was done and made and everything, because I'm not exactly sure what exactly was done with it or how it was made, it was so nice because it straddled that not too sweet, not too bitter line, and it went perfectly with the pistachios and the strawberry. So it was a really lovely dinner. We enjoyed ourselves with the other couples that we went with, and it was early. The appetizers started at 4, so we got home probably about 7. I chose to stitch. I did not choose to watch the Super Bowl. Mo was taping it. He did let me know when the halftime show was on. I did watch it. I love halftime shows for the spectacle of it all. I mean, it's just so amazing. They probably practice all year round for this. I felt like it was a little bit slow, but by the end, you got all that spectacle. So I enjoyed that at the end. And then Mo watched the game, I think, at least the 4th quarter in overtime. I'm not sure what he watched otherwise, but I didn't watch any of it. It was fine. Congratulations to the winners. I'm telling you, Buffalo, Detroit, that's what I wanted. I wanted the underdog teams, but I'm always kind of a rooter for the underdogs. Otherwise, I couldn't care less. What else did we do? I was looking so forward to it, and I really enjoyed it. So I was happy that. Otherwise, it's been a fairly quiet week. Tomorrow's supposed to be a little yucky. It's chilly still. I think one day next week we might hit 50, but we're in the 40s. The sun is out, like the sun is out today, but it's a little bit brisk. For me, it's not bad because, as you can see, I'm wearing short sleeves because this winter, my poor sweaters and sweatshirts, it's just too warm for me to wear them. For me, not outside temperatures, just my internal temperatures. But I go out and I put on a sweater, and that's it. It could be 30 degrees and windy, and I'm happy as a clam in a sweater. So, yeah, kind of just plugging along. February, like I said, was supposed to be a fairly quiet month, and I'm enjoying that. I'm just gonna take with it. Things get busier come March, so I'll just ride this nice quiet wave until it changes. So that's about it. Let me get out of here so that you can get on to your next stitching friend, and I hope you got some stitching in. I hope you enjoyed spending time with me. I hope you're well. I hope you're safe. Please take care of yourself. Please remember that you are important, and please always, every single day, do something that is just for you, that makes you happy, because you need to take care of yourself before you can take care of others, to truly be able to give it what you can. So please, you take care of yourself. All right, that's about it. Until next time, happy stitching.